Nah, wait a minute.
Muted.
It's all broke.
Uh-oh.
You can't hear him at all.
Muted.
Professor, how'd you get muted?
Oh, no.
There. I'm
There he
unmuted, but the problem is I can't see anything. Are you guys on the screen?
We are here.
Well, now I am.
That was just lovely, which
Now
I'm
it's
sure
just
she
me.
don't mind. I'm sure she
Oh, no, shut up, Will.
Oh, God in heaven. This is
That was not a no.
That's
I
hilarious.
prefer my big face not to be on the screen, but whatever.
Well, it's a lovely face.
So everybody's here.
Yeah.
We're all here. It's a lovely day.
It's
Okay.
a lovely day.
Lovely.
Great.
Love
Well,
the day.
welcome everyone. It's great to have you guys.
Right. He's the only one on the screen right now.
It's so
Not all.
I'm the only one on the screen?
No,
I
she
love this.
she's the only one on the screen.
Really?
Yeah.
Talk to us, lovely.
Okay.
No, thank you.
Oh
no.
gosh. Okay, wait. This is
Tell us about your spring.
Give me
No.
a second.
She said no.
Tell us about your undeclined face card.
Well, black don't crack unless you smoke it.
I know that's right.
That's what the streets say.
I mean, even then, though, you know, I heard it's the best to lose weight.
All right. This
Wow.
is so uncomfortable for me being the only person in this.
No, milk it. Oh.
There we go.
Ah.
It was kind of interesting for a while because it's like RK or Randy Orton thing, kind of like the voices in her head. Even,
Voices in her
It's
head.
so crazy.
I love it. I love it. Well, happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome to another edition of The Faction. You know, we're live. All kinds of fun things can happen. But I'm Gerard. I'm glad to have you guys with us. Of course, we've got the whole crew. The whole crew is here. Ladies first, of course. Well, you already saw her. So let's just rip the Band-Aid off. Lovely's here. Lovely, how are you?
I am back. I am black, and I don't know why I was in the front like that. It was crazy, but
It's because it's Juneteenth weekend. That's why.
You know
so
what?
Happy Juneteenth to all, and we'll get into that a little bit later. Wrestling with Honey is here. Honey, how are you?
I'm doing fantabulous. It's been a lovely weekend. The weather's great. You know, New York's been on fire, so my area is pretty exciting. It's been a good week. Happy to be here.
Did you go to the ticker tape parade?
Patchu and I thought about it. We were like, maybe we shouldn't. And we already knew that, judging by the wins in the finals, you know, not even when they won. So I was just like, we could enjoy it right here. And then we still had a good time nonetheless celebrating.
Well, good. Congratulations are very much in order to the New York Knicks. And I can't hate on them. 53 years is a long, long time. So
yeah,
shout out to them. To the West Coast we go. Councilman is here. Have no fear. Will Ferrell, how are you, sir?
Man, I've been working harder than Jay Cargill's wig on SmackDown.
Why?
It's awesome.
You know, I tried to forget about last week, and
it's only a matter of time.
Thank you. That's actually good. I appreciate that. That's good. That's good. Last and certainly not least, representing, of course, Houston, Texas, where who was in Houston the other night? AEW was in Houston the other night. That's right. James White is here. James, how are you, brother?
I am more tired than Ric Flair's breathalyzer, but I'm here.
You know, I'm glad you do that every time, because now we should just make a compilation.
Yes.
So seriously,
of your intros.
Yes.
Every time it never fails.
That's absolutely coming. Oh my gosh. Boza, good to see you. Coco, welcome aboard. And shout out to everybody else who's joining us. I see you. I appreciate you guys. There is plenty to get into. Where shall we begin? Well, we mentioned Juneteenth. So Juneteenth obviously means the BRP 50. We will get into that. We're going to get into King and Queen of the Ring now that we know the finals. But first, let's start with our friends at TNA. It's been a rather noteworthy week and newsworthy week for TNA, seemingly out of the blue. Next week is Slammiversary, one of their big 2 events of the year. And ahead of that, we heard of a couple of signings. We heard of a couple of releases / parting of ways. Let's start with the parting of ways. We heard Tessa Blanchard's gone. We heard that Sami Callihan is gone, and we heard that Tommy Dreamer is gone. Tommy Dreamer was head of creative. Sami Callihan apparently thought he would become head of creative. And we all know the controversy surrounding Tessa Blanchard. What, if anything, do these releases tell us about the current state of TNA? Will, let's start with you.
A lot of change. A lot of change happening. I think, these deals with AMC, I think partnership with WWE, even though we haven't seen as much lately, but I think things are shifting, things are forming, and there's a lot of people that, when stuff gets moved, especially like me being a graphic designer, when stuff gets moved and the trends keep going, it's like some things you just can't keep up with. Like if I'm a 40-year-old graphic designer, they're not going to put me on projects that are for 18 to 25-year-olds because I can't relate to that. So now with an audience shifting from just diehard fans like ourselves that'll watch the product, it's like TNA knows, it's like, hey, we got to start being able to do the same thing everybody else is doing and talk to these casual fans too, and other things that are in the locker room. Like we've heard rumors of this, we've heard rumors of that. We've heard people didn't apologize for this. We've heard people are saying things about certain other folks, and it's a lot. But I don't know what direction it's pointing in, if that progression is a good thing or if it's going into a right-wing thing.
Oh, that's an interesting thought. Honey, your thoughts on where TNA is right now. I mean, if you think about it, the last few years for TNA have almost been a bit of a roller coaster. I mean, you had the moment, of course, they've signed Nick Nemeth, they've moved from Impact back to TNA. It seemed like things were going really, really well. Then suddenly Scott D'Amore is gone. And but then they seem to pick things back up. And now we're kind of at this space. What do you make of kind of the last few years of TNA?
It's definitely a lot of ups and downs. I think it's been for TNA what it's been is just them trying to find their identity, find their place in the industry. We've seen, since the partnership that they created with WWE, a lot of things have been in some way, shape, or form progressing, especially with how they've interacted and, done how do they, I don't want to say the word, but they had the whole TNA coming to NXT thing and all of that stuff, which then brought a lot of those stars to the main roster, like, such as Matt Cardona and whatnot. But when I think what's happening at TNA tells us a lot about the wrestling industry in 2026 now, because we're no longer in an era where one company controls all the opportunities. Leaving a company doesn't necessarily have to be deemed as betrayal or anything like that. There's just more options and more opportunity. There's we have New Japan, we have AAA, we got AEW. There's all kinds of options. Ring of Honor, not even to mention all the independents. And it could, it just seems like they're flushing out a lot of old and in with the new kind of deal, if you ask me, with a lot of, of course, having Tommy Dreamer move on, Tessa Blanchard, they were there for quite some time, and Tommy Dreamer at the helm. But the biggest lesson, I think, is that talent alone isn't enough. Every company can sign somebody. The question is, what makes the product stand out? What makes it unique? And I think TNA is still kind of at somewhat of a crossroads in trying to land that niche. So it's been very wayward.
Lovely. Let me ask you this. Based on that idea that TNA may be still trying to find its identity after 21 years, and Granted, I guess once you're 21, you're still trying to ultimately figure out who you are. Should we expect TNA to know who they are? And then where does TNA go right now with these major changes that are happening?
That's going to be up to TNA. They're either going to evolve or perish, just like most things. So we are in a new age of wrestling. It is a different landscape than it was when we knew the original TNAs and Impact as we originally knew it. You know, I do not believe that when you see people switch in and out is a negative to the company. I feel like this needs to happen a lot. I feel like WWE needs to start doing that, getting some people up out of there and start fleshing people out. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a negative. I will say this. Bye, Tessa.
Okay.
I don't really give a damn where the door hit you. Bye. You shouldn't have been back in the first place. But that's neither.
Can I ask a question though?
Sure.
For folks,
I'm gonna be honest.
For folks that's living under a rock, what exactly did she do? I heard she said something like very outlandish about us, but I didn't know exactly
the story on this platform, Mr. Barter.
Say it again.
Am I able to answer that question? I'll answer it in a. I got it.
Yes.
Yeah, you ain't got to say exactly what she said. Like,
there was an incident with a black female wrestler that happened in the locker room where she called her a very derogatory name and spit at her. On top of years of alleged bullying. I say alleged. I'm not a wrestler. I'm not in the locker room. Alleged bullying that has not ceased as of today. So there was a pseudo apology that a lot of people did not accept. And a leopard really doesn't change its spots often. And I'll just leave it at that. But you got one time with me to do something like that and it's over for you.
It's interesting. I've heard some details from some people who were there, and it very much mirrors that. And so two things. One, I think you guys all mentioned the fact that the pro wrestling landscape is changing. And I think one of the things that has changed significantly is fans don't forget. I am incredibly moved at how every time, no matter how TNA tried to present Tessa Blanchard, every time Tessa Blanchard got on the screen, no matter the city, which is what makes this interesting, they all chanted the same thing. And commentary tried to talk over it. The producers did not have the kind of technology that other companies have to drown out audience sound and the like. So the same thing was reverberating every single show. I equally thought it was interesting that I'm sure because of that, TNA's partners never decided to let her go through, and cross the proverbial line. So I think there's a lot to be said for that. James, I want to ask you this. With Tommy Dreamer, not seemingly, he's out as the head of creative over at TNA. If you're putting this thing together, who goes to TNA and books TNA in a way that allows TNA to still be unique and add their own different flavor to pro wrestling?
Will Ferrell.
That's not a bad idea at all.
I'm with that.
Hey, your councilman will turn everything around. Believe me.
This is very true.
I'll turn that whole ship upside down.
This is very true. Let me ask this other question too while we're here. Tommy Dreamer, of course, known for obviously his lengthy time in ECW. Many would say responsible for the creative in TNA for the last 10 years. We heard Sami Callihan talk about how he thought he was going to be head of creative when he got the call. Is it necessarily a good thing for a wrestler of a certain age or a certain background, and when I mean background, I mean wrestling background, is it necessarily a good thing for them to be head of creative, or do you need someone like a writer or someone with more of a, you know, TV movie kind of background in that seat?
So I will say one of my influential leader influences is Nick Saban. Is a former head coach of Alabama, and he was a head coach of Alabama for 17 years and won 6 national championships at Alabama in a 17-year span, got to 9 championship games. It's unheard of. What he continued to do on a roster that will continue to um, rotate every 3 to 4 years because he's a college player, but yet he was winning at a high level. He understood the guys that were there, and he changed his program and his systems based on the talent of the personnel that were there. So it wasn't just his way. His way was winning. He found out how to win with what he had. Now, he coached there from his late 50s to his early 70s, but yet was still winning. And he's coaching 20-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, but yet gave them what he was, but found out what appealed to them so they could come together and win. So it's not necessarily just about who's there, but can they work with the roster that's there? Do they understand the landscape? Do they know how to win with what they have? And, you know, I don't know what was going on in the room with Tommy Dreamer. I don't know what was happening as far as his viewpoint of wrestling and what TNA was supposed to present. But yeah, if they can find somebody that can do what he did, I didn't see any groundbreaking work that can't be replaced out of there. I didn't see anything that made me want to tune in. As a matter of fact, when I watched the first night that it was on back on episodic television, I'm like, they got some work to do because this is not a watchable product. So, you know, to Lovely's point, this may be a blessing in disguise, but I don't think you just go all Hollywood. I think you need to understand what wrestling is. You know, whatever their identity is, and their work keeps coming up, they need to find out what that is. You're not WWE Junior. Mm-hmm. So if you bring somebody in that's thinking in a WWE way, then you're going to get a lesser version of what that is. When TNA was rocking, they were their own thing. Mm-hmm. You know, when it was AJ Styles, when it was Christopher Daniels, when it was Samoa Joe, when it was the Wolves, you know, they were, what they presented rivaled a company that was 10 times more expensive, put it that way, had a larger budget, but their product was fire. And I was watching on a weekly basis. When they tried to become another version of WWE, that's when they went to hell. So, you know, no matter who it is, they need to know who they are and know what they got to work with.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. By the way, I see my buddy Dylan, who I've not seen in quite some time. Dylan, good to see you, sir. Let's see. Both says professors, right? A lot of fans blame her for Jordan Grace being in WWE too. I was talking about Tessa. Yeah. So, you know, here's what's interesting to me. As you were talking, I started thinking about spaces that have managed historically to do very well. When you think about certainly the old NWA, you think of Dusty Rhodes, you think of Dusty Rhodes, quite frankly, in the original NXT up until they got to Black and Gold and Triple H took over. And then Shawn Michaels. It's interesting to see how, again, in certain places, obviously these wrestlers are doing very, very well. Yeah, I think a lot of it ultimately ends up being who has, to your point, James, a creative mind and an ability to adjust based on what you have. You know, I think about the last innovative, when you think of TNA innovations, I think of Ultimate X. Mm-hmm. I think about what was the 6-sided ring, which obviously came from AAA in Mexico. But then I think in terms of the last big innovation, it was the cinematic match that we saw with the Hardys.
The Hardys, yeah.
But that predated Tommy Dreamer. That's 2014, 2015. So 2016-ish. So yeah, it's interesting. I can't really identify, and this is no knock to Tommy Dreamer, and it's no knock to TNA, but TNA really became a thing because of its innovation, whether it was the weekly pay-per-views or, they had a number of things that they did that separated them from the pack. And I think all of this leading into Slammiversary is going to really give us all an idea of where TNA goes from here. I think it'll be very interesting. I want to switch gears as we're talking about new and fresh and exciting. Talk about our friends over at Black Wrestling, the Black Wrestling podcast, the BRP 50, now in its 8th year, put together by an amazing group of people who I am massive fans of over at Black Wrestling. They have been doing this now for 8 years, where they highlight the top 50 Black wrestlers in the last calendar year. And I like lists because lists are, of course, almost always subjective, but I appreciate when people actually make their criteria public, so you can at least understand how they arrived at this place. So for BRP, they went in terms of time frame from May of 2025 to May of 2026. They looked at a number of specific criteria, ranging from, visibility on TV, wins and losses, impact to brand, all of those kinds of things. So what I'm going to do is run through the top 10, and then we'll get into, whether or not we agree with this top 10 and perhaps where some of our other favorite African-American wrestlers landed here in this top 50. So looking specifically at the top 10, at number 10 was Willow Nightingale, who, of course, held the TBS championship and the women's tag team championship during this time, the inaugural AEW women's tag team champion. Number 9 is the current TNT champion, the Jet, Kevin Knight. Number 8 is the current women's intercontinental champion and the former North American champion, that being Sol Ruka. Number 7, the man who is tied for the longest reign in the X division as the X division champion, that being Leon Slater. Number 6.
Yeah, he on that twice. Right? All right, go ahead. My bad.
Number 6, she held the women's championship for WWE and had a great match at WrestleMania, and I think continues to improve. That is Jade Cargill at number 6. Number 5, the woman who I think had about 15 belts at some point during this, Mercedes Moné. Number 4, the forever Ring of Honor Women's Champion, Athena. I don't think anybody is surprised by the top 3 in whatever order you would put them. Number 3, he was just in the semifinals of King of the Ring, that being Javon Evans. Number 2 is the ruler, Obafemi, on the heels of course, that massive WrestleMania victory over Brock Lesnar. And number 1, by the way, I should mention Obafemi was number 1 last year in this countdown. Number 1 this year is the current United States champion, who has everybody saying, whoop that Trick Williams. All right, let's talk about it. Your thoughts on this top 10 list for the BRP 50 in terms of the top 10 Black wrestlers in the calendar year, May 2025 to May 2026. Honey, what are you thinking?
I'm not mad at any of this. No matter where you put any of these superstars, they all have had such an amazing journey so far in the business, and they're only going to continue to go from there. Kevin Knight and Leon Slater, I'm kind of with Will on that. He's down there twice. Not sure how that happened, but we'll get to the bottom of the brass tacks of that. But Obafemi, listen, for coming out of the NIL program and straight into the Wolves and completely dominating all rosters on his way up in his WWE journey, need we say anymore? Everybody's chanting his name. Everybody's doing his strut. It's just inevitable that the ruler is just going to continue to rule. So, and Trick Williams, It's right where it needs to be because he's probably one of the hottest commodities on the main roster, and he's probably what's keeping SmackDown hot right now, quite honestly.
All right. Now, I already know where you stand on this, Lovely. So that's why I haven't gone to you yet. But well, no. For the sake of those who don't, your thoughts on the top 10. And let me just ask the question now, because I was going to wait, but I want to ask the question now. Did they get it right with Oba and Trick? Because there's an argument that I could make that Oba should actually be number 1 on this list. But what are your thoughts?
You know.
Wait. Are you saying Oba should not be number 1 on this list, Councilman?
You know that's not what I'm saying.
Oh,
you know exactly that's
all right.
You know what? I apologize. This is Lovely's time.
This is Lovely.
It's completely fine. I can talk about these gentlemen all day. I think, yes, they got it right. And the reason I think they got it right for Trick is because of the title. If Oba would have had a title on the main roster, I think that would have swayed it a little bit more. The way that Trick has done with media, the way that he completely won over those white housewives and on those talk shows, the way that you have these little boys dressed up like pimps, these little white boys dressed up like pimps in the crowd. Now, granted, you have everyone doing the strut. I think those little things is what's pushed him over Oba Femi. There's not a right or wrong to me, no matter who you decide to pick. What I want to say about this list, above all, I don't care about the ranking whatsoever. What I care about is it's easy to have a list of 500, 600, 700 people. This is no shot to anyone. This is just facts. It's easy to have that large of a scope, but to narrow it down to the top 50 and doing it in an intentional way. Now, granted, the Leon Slater thing, I'm gonna talk to them and figure out what will happen with that. We'll figure that out. And I think that's just probably a mistake. I think it was just a clerical error. I don't think it was anything like that. But to be able,
wait, Lovely, they're being funny. They're acting like Leon Slater and
Kevin
Knight
is the same person.
Because don't piss me
We're
off.
not acting. We're not acting. That's the same person.
Don't
all
piss
right.
me off.
I know what I saw.
I mean, I'm just a little confused, a little bit.
I know what I saw.
Kevin
Knight walked in the back, changed his clothes, and came back out. Was like, "Yo, what's up, Professor? Like, what's up, Leon? I know what I saw. I ain't never seen these two dudes in the same room.
I have.
Me too. I've been in the room.
I've been in there.
But what I'm saying is, what I want people to understand and focus on above who you think should go where. These are people who have dedicated their entirety of their creative network to highlighting and showcasing Black people across the diaspora, period, no matter where they're from. So to be able to take all of the amazing talent that we have and narrow it down to 50 each year for 8 years, no matter who criticized, chastised, who said they didn't want to be on the list for whatever reason. They have been consistent with this and they've been intentional with this. So that's the main things that they're showcasing people that people may not be, may not be familiar with their identity, and they're showcasing us. They're showcasing Black folk. So I don't care who was at number 1. I'm just proud that they are continuing to do this and they're doing it at the top of their game and they're being intentional with what they're doing. So shout out to my family at Black Wrestling. Something else season 4 is coming soon.
Well, I love them. I'll have my say on that in just a second. Let me ask you this, James. If you look at, and I just mentioned the top 10, I did not get into, who made top 20, top 30, top 40. Looking at this top 10, and all 10 of these names are not just on TV, but have held championship gold of significance over the last year. What do you think that means for the state of representation for African Americans in pro wrestling?
I couldn't be prouder. I remember growing up, all you had was Junkyard Dog, Big Cat, Early Lad, Iceman King Parsons, Sweet Brown Sugar, Coco Beware. And that was it across 5 different, they would go to different places, but that we had 5 and no women, so the fact that we could even have 50 and these 50 are in prominent places, and most of them are not in characters that demean or exploit Black people. They're able to be themselves, and my daughter, who doesn't even watch wrestling, just loves Javon Evans. She walked in the house and watched him do a promo one time and says he's a YN. And that's essentially, and they let him be a YN. And, there would be a day that he could be YN. It could be a YN. He had to be a crime time, but it could be a YN, so there's a difference. So we're being allowed to be us, and show that there's different parts of us. Not all Black is the same. And that's actually what makes it beautiful, that we're a community, not just a race. We're colorful. It's not just one color. Black isn't just one color. It's a lot there. And so we've got different people who represent the different colors of the beautiful Blackness that we carry in different platforms. And they know what they can do in the ring too. So it's not just a character to look at or laugh at. They're putting on good matches. They're main eventing. Okay, they're main eventing episodic shows. They're main eventing PLEs. They're putting in primetime spots. I could not be prouder of all of them in every organization that they're in.
Yeah, it's a good time. Councilman, I'm curious for you.
Let me say this before you finish your question. I need to get this out because I miss Bianca so much. And it hurts. I just want to say that Montez is selfish. I just want to say he's selfish. You already had kids. You're just gonna wait until this woman's in her prime. She just had one of the greatest matches in WrestleMania history and got a lacerated finger. You say, you know what? Okay, let's go unprotected. You're selfish, Montez. You're absolutely selfish. You're robbing us of one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Just because you didn't know when to break up out of your team. Now you're going to make another team in the house, and we don't have her for 2 years. You're selfish, Montez.
Make another team is crazy work.
Wow. Wow. So wait, with that said, that's actually a very good segue into this particular question for you, Councilman. In times past, for instance, last year specifically, we had the big 3: Bianca, Naomi, Jade. We're sitting in a space right now where Jade, we don't have Bianca, we don't have Naomi, and on this list, on this top 10 list, we still have 5 prominent women and 5 men. What do you think it means for Black wrestling that 2 of the biggest stars in the sport are gone and we're still kind of continuing?
Yeah,
he's waxing poetic, folks. He's just muted.
I think that just means, like, with everything we've seen before, they didn't let us in basketball. They didn't want to let us in baseball. They didn't want to let us in volleyball. They barely wanted to let us in anything. But as years go by, you can't contain the Blackness and the awesomeness that is us. Fact. So it was just naturally go, look, man, we got Black people playing water polo. You're not gonna stop us from taking over. You're not gonna stop us from getting in, and that's what's gonna happen. And I'm just glad to consistently see it where it's not just one person that gotta carry the whole ethnicity. Like a Jacqueline had to be everything for a Black woman wrestler. And I just can only imagine how exhausting that could have been. Folks like her, folks like Jazz, but now it's like it's so sporadic to the point to where you have folks really sitting here arguing and blowing a gasket about how Sol Ruka's not Black, and then you see her. It's like, yeah,
she is. Yes,
she's one of us. Deal with it. You and whoever else of one of you people who don't like it, who supports our president. Guess what? The Rock's Black too.
Surprise!
Like, good gosh.
Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
And he made that known from the jump.
Rocky Soul Man Johnson. But, Professor, you're not going to distract me, though.
Ah, here we go.
You're not going to distract me.
Oh, shit.
Because, they said all the nice things about the list, about what they've been doing for 8 years. I completely agree. That's why I don't have to need to repeat it.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Careful.
Come on now.
Mm-mm. Wow.
Y'all know Oba need to be number one. You know Oba need to be number one. Stop playing. Y'all know Trick number 2. Stop that. Trick need a title just to be relevant. Okay? Trick needed that title. Oba don't need a title and get talked about on
You're talking.
all programs.
You're talking. You're talking.
Hey, never in my life. I ain't even see Andre the Giant cast a shadow over a stadium.
Did he do that in May?
Well, we're not going
Did he
to
do that before May?
I'm just giving you.
Whoa.
But if we're looking at the criteria,
The last time
shadowing.
who out of the two of them, who was it where everyone kept going? His match should be main event over Roman and CM Punk. I don't remember too many people talking about the Trick Williams match. Now that's not towards Trick Williams, that's more towards Sami Zayn. But when you talk about aura, icon, in the ring, movement, presence, everything, this man got Brock Lesnar doing his strut. Again, this is nothing to Trick Williams, but it would not shock me if this list was tampered with due to Lash Legend's good cooking. That's not what I heard back.
This is crazy.
Now that's what I heard.
This is crazy.
And I'm not mad at y'all. I see the food she's fair. I get it.
Lash is very influential.
Very influential. He that's a power play that man did. That is a power play.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Chess, not checkers.
But you know who don't gotta do that? The rule that you don't be the ruler at number 2. That don't this don't match.
Don't match.
My man about to be king of the ring. My man finna go on and headline. Headline.
My he got
Panga doing the strut. Panga not saying whoop that trick. She is doing the over strut. Even Dan Housen does the over strut. My client was robbed, just like Mercedes was robbed, and that PWI when they shared it with Tony Storm, just like my other client, Roxanne Perez. Y'all gonna stop disrespecting my clients on this list.
It sounds like your clients need better representation.
Let me say this, and let me say this. If Obafemi is number 2 on your list because he doesn't have a championship, that is the fault of WWE.
That's true.
And that needs to be rectified August 2nd and August 3rd. That needs to be rectified at SummerSlam. I will stand on this. I will sit in this chair on this and be very, very clear that at the end of SummerSlam, Obafemi needs to be World Heavyweight Champion for the sake of the business, for the sake of Black business, for the sake of this thing that we're doing right now. Okay? We have the guy, and you know he's the guy. Everyone knows he's the guy. Stop playing with this. Make him the face. And I know they're scared of him. I know it. I know it. I know it. They were just at the White House, just, all at the UFC situation, celebrating, whatever. I know it's scaring them to put the rocket on this man who absolutely deserves it. But he's supposed to have it. And I would have loved for this top 50 to represent that, to let everyone know that we know he's the guy. We're not going to wait to crown him. Y'all are doing it, but we're not going to do it. We all know Oba's a guy.
We crowned him since he arrived.
You know what I love?
He should be number, which is why he should be number 1. And since now we don't have the Midas in the world to worry about anymore as a CM Punk, we could get back to business and no more tired ass GTSs. Maybe he can go take a nap. Oh no, that's right. He's going to SmackDown.
Now, Will, when you said the mid is, she
Yeah,
thought you
I
were
got
talking
him
about
on
Bret
the
Hart
side.
again. She got
Oh
triggered.
no,
She
they
thought you were talking about
both
Bret.
are. They both are. They both.
So
They
there's
both.
some very interesting comments over here in the chat. Shout out to Marks with Mikes, who says Oba is over, but I agree with Trick Williams being number one. Oba is not in the position he needs to be in. Joker says the Oba challenge killed his chances to be number one on this list.
Oh man,
That's not his fault. That's not his fault though. I get what he's saying with right now.
That's TKO.
That's TKO.
So here's what I'll say. What I will say is, first of all, I absolutely echo the sentiments that I am such a massive fan of BRP. Our friends at Black Wrestling, they are just incredible people. I love what they have done for the culture for such a consistent amount of time, and taking the time. You know, we're fortunate because the wrestling landscape right now, if I went through several of these other names, many of you would know who they are. And if you didn't know who they are, you are probably one person removed from knowing who they are, which says a lot. When they used to have to do this list 5, 6, 7 years ago, they had a lot more research to do to come up with 50 names. Now, these are 50 names who are either currently on television, have been on television, will be on television. It's just an amazing thing. So absolute shout out to them. I will forever be a fan of theirs. I love the fact that we are in an era where we have this kind of discussion that can happen between an Oba and a Trick because they are both so over. I love that. We didn't used to have that very often. We used to have to kind of go deep into the playbook to be able to do that. So I do.
Gerard, I want to ask a question.
Yes.
Because I want, not only was this list fantastic, but I want y'all to notice how many of the Ashe wrestling roster was on that list. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about that because you don't have to go far to find Ashe. At number 14 is the Ashe Wrestling Women's Champion Charity King, which let me just say that makes her the 4th highest ranked female on this list.
Wow.
That is behind Athena. I'm sorry, the 5th. Athena, 6th. Sorry. Athena, Mercedes, Jade, Soul, Willow, and Charity King.
Wow.
I mean, but that's a lot. That you
that's
take the other 5. That's major. Like
that's major.
That's huge.
That's major. So shout out to Charity King, 2 belts charity now. The Ashe Wrestling Men's Champion, Darius Carter, number 17 on this list. Khan, who is the Pan-African World Diaspora Champion, who won that title at Ashe, is at number 21. Cedric Alexander, who has spent quite a time in Ashe, is at number 22. So, like, you're not having to look far to find our people, which I'm very, very excited about. LeBron,
where's Raheem?
Don't.
God. LeBron Cozone at number 37. Shug D at number 38. Isaiah Broner at number 41. I'm just very happy about this. Jordan Blade at number 45. Darian Bankston, number 46. The Ashe Men's Tag Team Champions at number 47 and 48. Duke Davis, Gannon Jones Jr. I mean, we're all over this list, which I just think is amazing. And when you think about a Charity King being higher than a Kalani Jordan, a Maya World, a Lash Legend, a Red Velvet, a Callie Armstrong, it says an awful lot. So if you guys have not seen Charity King yet, go check out any of the Ashe shows, or of course, you can check out The World Is Yours next Saturday live on YouTube and watch Charity King go to work. But let me ask.
I'm sorry. There was such irony in James asking where's Raheem, only because apparently he's supposed to be easy to find,
but hard to beat. Let me So with that, let me ask this: if we're going to go down the road of Raheem as still the WWE champion, if you've got Oba, who is seemingly the uncrowned king of the ring and future world champion, you've got Trick as the U.S. champion. You've got all of the things, a Lash legend who won her first piece of gold in this last year or so. I saw yesterday while I was on the socials, one of the first things I saw was a wonderful post from our friends over at AEW wishing everyone a happy Juneteenth. I saw a number of independent wrestling promotions do the same. I saw a number of wrestlers from the WWE and wrestling personalities who posted about it. Javon Evans, Adam Pearce, and a number of others. I guess my question to you is, should we have an expectation of a wrestling company to be vocal or honor a national holiday or an observance of any sort? Should we expect that? Is that, or should that just fall on the wrestlers who ever want to participate in its observation? I'm going to let, I know she wants to cook. She's been waiting for this. She's been waiting. So I'm going to just let it stew a little bit longer. Honey, what say thee?
He hates my guts. I don't understand.
I love you dearly. You know this.
I think in my head, absolutely yes. Companies should acknowledge all holidays. I mean, representation and recognition go hand in hand. They're of course gonna say that no company can realistically acknowledge every culture, holiday, or celebration, but I think that's just a cop out. It's not really about holidays. It's just about inclusion. And I think what people really just want is to feel seen, and that's what's important, and it's authenticity. You can almost tell that, especially when you have all these wrestling companies promoting all these different holidays and all these different diversities, that they're doing something because either you could tell which ones are being genuine, and you could tell which ones are doing it because society and social media expects them to. But I, as a Puerto Rican girl who grew up in the Bronx in New York, I've always felt connected to being able to include everyone, and a lot of the influences come from a little bit of everything in your surroundings. But yeah, I think they should, though. All in all, I think companies should be expected to celebrate every holiday, because like as kids, even as we were kids, we all have those moments where we're looking at somebody on TV, we're like, they look just like me. If they could do that, I can do that too. And you want to lead with that.
James, what say thee?
I was hoping that Honey would give me something to just piggyback off of. And I would just say, yeah, but I'm not Puerto Rican.
I've had enough of bald people.
You know what?
Speaking for myself, James. You know what I meant.
Oh.
When you say bald, I'm not going to go that lovely. I want, if you are going to do it, be genuine.
Mm-hmm.
If you are going to do it, it needs to come from a respectful place and not one of those we got to type deals. Like here, right. It shouldn't come off disingenuous. It should be well informed. But more importantly, I just want you to treat the people in your company with the respect. I think the best way to honor, especially if you're dealing with something like Juneteenth, is don't treat your black people like slaves in the company.
Well,
we show how much we value who we have by treating them by the way we treat them. I don't want to have this great Black History promo for 4 weeks and then we see 2 black wrestlers on the show, on a 3-hour show. So to me, it's the way you treat them more so than anything. I respect it as long as it's genuine. But if you don't, I I'm not looking for them to be my moral compass. I'm looking for them to be my entertainment.
Mhm.
So, but treat us well in every way, not just the wrestlers, but the people who work behind the scenes, the Ryan Wards and, the people like that, the writers, the producers, everyone that's there, how you treat them means more to me than what you post.
So you raise an interesting point, and I've seen this certainly in some other spaces. And this is how I'm going to lob it over to you, Lovely. If we don't see those kinds of acknowledgments, whether it's Juneteenth, whether it's Women's History Month, whether it is Asian American Pacific Islander Month, which one would think they would do given
You would think you feel me?
So my question is, do we think that we're not seeing it because they've kind of in their own way acknowledged their inability to authentically present it, or should we expect them, given the amount of diversity in these companies, should we expect them to in some way acknowledge this?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Here's why it's both. If you did not set the precedent of already doing the representation post, if you didn't do this in the past, if this was not something that we were familiar with you doing, we wouldn't have batted an eye now that it's not happening. The fact that WWE used to do this, the fact that we had the acknowledgement with every single minority group that was acknowledged, there was always something. We ain't seen Dr. Martin Luther King on their programming in 3 years. And that was their go-to boy.
Yes,
so
yeah.
I'm going to hit you.
It'd be right at the beginning.
You
With no words, no nothing.
It's like, here you go.
But it'd be this quick. And then
it's the fact that we've seen in real time the tide turn with them. And I think that's where the frustration is. I remember first of all, not even black folk. I'm gonna just because we already gonna have something to say because y'all, know how it go. But if the bloodline should jump y'all for not talking about Asian Americans Pacific Islander Month. Because that's where all your money is coming from. But the one thing I will say, they were consistent with stopping everything. They don't acknowledge anything anymore, whether it's the LGBT community, whether it's women's health, men's health, why the chicken cross the road. They don't say nothing about nobody no more. So the fact that we saw it change so drastically, so quick, I think that's what makes it so hard to deal with and so frustrating. Where you're looking at wrestling now and it's so annoying to do this, but it's just an innate thing to do. You're almost looking at it as the political parties. Almost you're seeing it play out in real time, and I don't find it coincidental whatsoever. So I appreciate the fact that they're showing who they are. They're showing us their hands, so now we as the public, we know what to do. That's how I feel.
There's I don't know if I want to do this or not, but
I'll do it. I'll be your angry interpreter.
Well, no, let me ask this, Will, because I think Lovely raises a very interesting point, how so much of our world has somewhat now mirrored political landscapes and the like. Do those kinds of things influence what you may choose to watch, or are you able to kind of put, okay, whatever they personally ascribe to as a company or as individuals, can I put that to the side and pay attention to what they're presenting on our television screens? Or are you influenced by their practices, their appearances at, varying places that might be questionable to some people?
Damn, that's a good question, because that's also the same thing of like, can you separate the art from the artist?
From the artist, that's what it is.
It's a loaded question. Yeah,
it's a very loaded question.
I mean, I honestly though, yeah, because we do it every single day. If you decided to not use or not watch something from somewhere that you didn't believe in their moral beliefs, we wouldn't be live right now.
Facts.
I'm sure somewhere there's a StreamYard owner or something that is up to no good. But this is the world we live in, and you have to be able to find a way of like, does it outweigh it itself to where it's like, okay, I can't be a part of this, or is there a balance where you can find the silver lining in it?
Mhm.
Like for WWE standpoint, where you see them going so more far right about stuff, you also see the other side of it where it's like, okay, I have the tribal chief sitting at the president's booth along with Donald Trump, who again tried to get rid of Juneteenth, so doesn't really mean far fetched that WWE ain't posted none of it no more. It's in their pocket. But then on the other side, I just got to see almost 10 black wrestlers in a full week's programming. So then the thing is like, okay, like, what do I do? So like where there's progression, there's always going to be that steps that got to get taken back. But I think because of these type of conversations, because of these platforms, because of the moral standpoints that you take, Professor, not back down from the way you will fully keep your mind open and will refuse to shut your mouth, lovely, is, and I mean in a good way.
I ain't care either way, sure.
Yeah. But it's because of those things that keep all of this pushing forward to make us want to keep checking out this product, because it is change happening. There is growth happening in other places. Even when there are some where it just looks a little too dark to make you want to walk away, it's times like these where it's like, okay, this is bringing me back in.
Yeah. I also think too, if it was a situation where everyone else was still getting the acknowledgement except black folks stuff, I think it would make it a little bit like, all right, now, you know what I'm saying? Because you're profiting off of our influence, you're profiting off of what we bring to the table with the tricks and the Javons and even the Obafemis from Africa bringing in his culture. You're benefiting from the bloodline bringing their culture in. You benefiting from Jacob Fatu bringing in gang culture. I never think I was gonna see nothing like that on TV. And not acknowledging just one group. I think then that's when we need to be like, all right, you know what I'm saying? But they did do a uniform decision where everything got wiped out. So I'm not saying I respect it or I appreciate it more, but it does make it feel like, okay, it don't feel like it's against us, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but they were almost about to fully promote All American Beer though.
But but money is gonna make the
that's the thing too. That's where you really start to get into it. It's like it's the money aspect, and then this is the thing I always tell people: you can't if you're going to pinpoint it at somebody, you can't just point one finger at one folks. You have to be able to do it, and you won't change. You got to call it all out. So as to what WWE is doing and how they're acting, also ask yourself, what are these brands telling them before they write this check? Because I think a lot of people tend to forget when you see an Apple computer somewhere, you see AT&T, you see Verizon, those folks have a lot of say-so in what gets done before it comes out. I will never forget, I sat in a movie pitch, and this dude was pitching a Marcus Garvey movie. Verizon was there, GM was there, and three others that I can't say live. All of them, and I'm not going to say the representative that said this, but they went, we love this. We think this is great. We think this is good. But what are your thoughts on Just Go With Us here? It's a more up-and-coming type of thing, and we want Shia LaBeouf to be the star.
Playing Marcus Garvey?
No longer Marcus Garvey. They're gonna take bits from his story, make a new one to where it now benefits as to why Shia LaBeouf is starring in it. But guess what? The people that saying this is ready to sign $30 million to this project.
This is why I love these kinds of conversations and what this forum brings to this sport, because first of all, we just had a very high level and important conversation that perhaps some other outlets would not have handled with the level of class, distinction, and discretion that we've handled it. Secondly, what I love about this is that we get to prove to wrestling fans and wrestling companies that not all wrestling fans are the same. We are intelligent. We are articulate. We are, people who actually have done our research, and we have something intelligent and informative to say. So I think that's important. I also think it's important that we understand that, the world as we know it is not cut and dry and is not black and white. There are always forces far beyond what we see that are in some way influencing what we ultimately see. So, it's easy for the average fan to just get mad because they don't see whatever it is they want to see, not considering that when you add money, we're not just looking at the sport, we're not just looking at athleticism.
Yes.
But when you add money, and capitalism, and business to the equation, there will always, and if it's wrestling, if it's music, if it's whatever, it's always going to be influenced by ultimately who's going to pay the bill and what will they accept or not accept. So it's interesting. And I just say, everybody has to figure out what it is that helps them make their decisions in terms of what they're going to support or not. But this is the challenge, I think, in, understanding that two things can be true. It can be true that you may not like the practices of a certain company while also recognizing, hey, they're the largest company in the world that does this. And I'm really glad that we have so many people of color on screen in a great position, because ultimately they get to eat and ultimately people get to watch and be inspired. So it is never as cut and dry, but I like these kinds of conversations that really help to just add some information to the equation. I hate that we're out of time because we're just cooking. So very, very quickly, we are 1 week away. Matter of fact, this time next week, we will know the answer to who is the king of the ring, who is the queen of the ring. We know for sure, king of the ring, it's Oba versus Jey Uso. Sorry to laugh like that, but that's what we have. And on the queen of the ring, we've got, my God, Olivia Morgan.
Olivia.
And Io Sky. Who's leaving as the king of the ring and queen of the ring? Very, very quickly. Honey.
King Oba, Queen Io.
James?
What Honey said.
Okay. Councilman.
I will never go up against my client. It's gonna be King Oba. Queen of the Ring, I don't care.
Oh,
Good Lord, man.
Lovely.
Child, I don't know.
That's the real answer.
I don't know. I don't even know what's going on no more. It should be Oba and Io, but we know it's probably, if y'all give me King Oos, I swear to God.
You know it's coming.
TKO is gonna do it.
You know it's coming. You know it's coming, man. Oba talking about Brock way too much. He talking about him way too much.
Yeah.
Also, though, can I just throw this out? Can I just throw this out there? Night of Champions, and ain't all the titles on the line? That's all.
Not all of them.
Yeah, I talked about that on the watch along last night. I'm not happy about that.
Where are IC titles at? No, I'll give you another one. Where are tag team titles at? Oh, that's right. One of them gonna be in a steel cage match for a beef that was supposed to be over.
So you mean to tell me, Will, there's a non-title match on the Night of Champions PLE?
And
it's a steel cage. And
it is hamsters over there in creative spinning the wheels. I don't care what y'all say. I know we out of time, but y'all gonna have to hear this. What the hell are y'all doing? Because none of this makes sense. Why is Olivia, who is the prize, in the damn finals? Don't piss me off, because this is stupid and petty ass book. I'm sorry for the words, Professor and Pastor. I'm so sorry. This is stupid, because what are we fighting for? She's in the match. This is absolutely ridiculous booking. And if you're doing it just to set up a interference for Stephanie Vicari, it shows you how uncreative creative is. There's so many different ways to get to the lane that you're trying to get to than the cheap way that y'all doing it, because y'all are going to piss me off.
It's not the
If
cheap
y'all
way,
give
love.
Jey Uso that damn crown.
It's
You
the-
tell
it's
you
not
why?
the-
Hold on, let me tell you. I'm almost done, honey. I'm gonna get off the
Okay,
soapbox.
okay,
We're gonna
okay.
shut it down. The reason why it's gonna piss me off, it ain't got nothing to do with Oba, even though y'all know if Trick wasn't gonna do it, it should have been Oba. But the fact that I remember when the Bloodline stole the damn crown from Xavier Woods, when all he wanted was to be the king of the ring, and y'all took his crown and y'all stomped on it, and you gonna give it back to Jey Uso? Ooh, wait till I get on Twitter. I got some words. I ain't forgot.
They jumped him like he was on the playground.
I have not forgotten. You stomped on it.
That was straight up a playground beating. That was playground beating. That was school.
Oh
He
my
should have
God.
quit then.
Fight. Everybody gathered.
I almost brought the Thule.
Oh my God.
Xavier should have quit then.
I quit for him.
Can I just ask one thing though, and then because I don't want to get into. If Liv wins, how do you spin this? Because I don't see them doing title versus title all the way just yet. I do think that might happen, but if you don't, what does this do? Because technically she has a title shot, or she could just go, we don't do nothing. I'm just queen of the ring.
We don't know, baby. That's why we're confused. We have no clue what's happening here. None of this makes sense.
It's not their cheat way. It's their Chat GPT way. That's what they're doing.
Got to be.
But it's like, I'm trying to think of just like
a sensible spin.
A sensible spin. Like, do she decide who her opponent is going to be?
It's so tacky because you could get champion versus champion just off the muscle of just having the match at Night of Champions. You don't have to waste the time to put this woman in this words.
That's the question. What would you rather see?
I would have rather see her ass not in the tournament.
But we hear now. But we're
here. What's
the bigger ticket though?
Io
title for title.
Io and Rhea.
Io and Rhea.
Rhea's hurt. Rhea's hurt though. So
is she?
Yeah, I'll buy that. She's hurt. What up? You know, like let's just
I said it last week. They need to give that girl. They needed to give that girl a break.
Didn't Seth teach us about faking injuries? Like, and
there's a karma to that, GB. Yes, it is.
The whole vision has suffered.
The whole
all of
them, everybody,
even Logan Paul. Like it's crazy. So yeah. So listen, next weekend, a huge weekend of pro wrestling everywhere. I feel like everybody's doing something next weekend. King of the Ring, The World Is Yours, Slammiversary, Forbidden Door, Great American Bash, literally all across 2 days. So there will be lots to talk about next week. Quickly, here's how you can find all of us. Honey.
All things Wrestling with Honey, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, all that good stuff. Wrestling with Honey podcast on YouTube every Thursday with Kayfabe podcast every now and then on WWT, and every Friday for Honey Night SmackDown watch along.
Sweet. Councilman
Will Farrow, PHARAOH, everywhere with the exception of Facebook. It's just W Farrow. Make sure you tune in on Thursdays for the Kayfabe podcast with Honey and Dion from All Star Fandom, as well as Straight Outta Comic Book on Mondays. Geek Black. Yo, this is not an exaggeration. I have stuff come out every day, every single day. Follow the YouTubes, follow the Twitches. Do it now before the spotlight get on me, because believe me, if you thought Ric Flair and Kanye was bad, you wait. You
thought Honey McDuck was bad? You got to meet Pharaoh McDuck.
No. I'll never be as bad as Honey McDuck. Never be as bad as Honey McDuck. Okay. Never have I called somebody that's sitting here counting $100,000 while watching Clash in Italy, just because she heard Lil Wayne say it on the song. She was like, you know what? I ought to do that myself. FaceTime me, counting, while Saul Ruka and Becky Lynch on. I'm like,
screenshot. I want to see the screenshot.
No. You know I can't have a screenshot because you made me sign an NDA before you got on kayfabe that I can't screenshot stuff with us.
Because I don't play that.
Wow.
As I said, I'll never be as bad as Honey McBean.
Wow. Wow. James?
Yes.
Present.
How can they
Present.
find you, sir?
You can find me at Honey Loves Mid and
Wow.
on all social platforms.
I love this. I love this. Last but certainly not least, the great wrestling auntie. Oh, wow. Lovely. Oh, wait, she's muted.
I don't know what Lovely saying. Just talking.
Something great.
That was my fault. I don't know what's going on, Sadi. You can find me on all social media platforms at It's Lovely Laveau. You can find me Wednesdays on Beyond the Bell podcast at 6 p.m. Something Else season 4. We are in the works getting our guest list together, so we will be coming to a YouTube channel near you, only on Black Wrestling podcast on YouTube, and of course you can see me on June 27th at Ashe, The World Is Yours. I got a chance to get my hands on the new merch. It came out beautifully. So if you're there, please go pick it up. It was very, very well done. And I can't wait to see y'all.
Also, JB Uso selfish too. I need to get that out.
All right.
Hey man, listen. Still want him to put my shirt out that I gave him the idea to. 5 letters, 1 word. Bang, bang, ski.
All right.
Sell. It would just sell. I'm telling y'all. We need to start saying it loud.
Shout out to everybody in the chat. It's been wonderful having you with us. We lasted this long. Good Lord. Hopefully we'll be back next week. I appreciate you all. Just thank you guys so much to this amazing panel. You guys are just incredible. I love what we get to do. And we'll be back next week, good Lord, for the Fashion Reloaded.